This might be one of the most enticing things that Raid has actually done, and a lot of people are talking about it for good reason. Hey you guys, it's Cece. Welcome back to my channel. What we are talking about today is actually the new Prism pool, which is the heroic summon pool event that is going on. And we need to talk about this because it actually includes the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle character collab. And as we know, once they are gone out of the game, they are gone forever. We're not going to have a chance to be able to actually pull these characters. So they've gone ahead and given us this in shards. With this being said, this is essentially happening from Monday to Friday, and they have different headline champions, which we're gonna go ahead and take a deeper look into this. So let's run over to the summon pool, and there might be a few things that you notice. First thing, there's more than one headline champion. But the second thing, they actually lowered the rate for the headline champion. So rather than it being 2%, they've actually lowered it to 1.5%. This is one of the things that people are talking about. And like I said, it's for good reason. It's lower, which is unfortunate. So it's 1.5% to actually get a headline champion, legendary being 4.5%, and an epic, of course, being 94%. So let's talk about the headline champs first. Now, the first one I think we need to talk about is Donatello, because we just finished the fusion for Donatello. So if you went ahead, you did the fusion, hopefully you got your 100 pieces and you were able to pull him. Part of I could see them including him in the Prism, I guess, is if you didn't get to do the fusion, if you missed out, you didn't get enough fragments. And I heard that was happening as well with people either not keeping track of their fragments. And it is as easy as essentially like missing a crucial part of an event or not being able to farm something. And maybe you were relying on getting one of those top 2 spots in some of the tournaments, but I don't know if that's a great strategy because it's very easy to kind of get knocked out of there. So hopefully that wasn't one of your strats. If you did fall short on getting him though, I'm so sorry to hear that. But I could see part of why they include him in the Prism for that reason. But then for those that did do the fusion, imagine you're going through, say, the work to go ahead and get your free Prism, or you buy shards and then you pull him. Would we be excited for that, to get a duplicate? Would we not? I don't know. I'm two ways about it. So I mean, sound off in the comments. What do you think of the fact that there's many things to think about? It's 1.5%. Donatello, it's all of it. But yes, there are the other characters as well. So they did include April O'Neil as one of the other potentials to actually get. And one of you actually commented you were surprised that she was one of the collab characters included in here. And honestly, same. Me too. I was also surprised at that. And then we do also have Raphael being a legendary attack. And the last one, of course, being Leonardo being the Void. And I think the one that people essentially more or less were leaning towards wanting the most, at least in the feedback that I was hearing all around from people. So taking a quick look at these guys, I mean, he is a legendary defense type. You're attacking an enemy 2 times. You have that potential when you're counterattack, ignoring part of the defense. Like, you can definitely do some damage output with this champ. 60% increased defense buff on all allies, as well as an ally protection on everyone except for himself. Places an unkillable buff, counterattack buff on this champ. You have an AoE in here. And then the damage increases for each buff on allies and enemies, actually. Removes all buff from all enemies if this attack kills an enemy, can't be resisted. And then you have TMNT unity as well. So more turtles that you actually have, then the more you'll be able to do with this. And then there is the passive as well with the stone skin buff. So you can see why people want him. Raphael, as I said, is the legendary attack type. You're attacking an enemy twice, but you have a block revive on this as well. And if you crit, you're going to fill your turn meter. And then you've got an AoE going on where you're going to ignore things like shield and block damage if you're under a berserk debuff. If you're not under that debuff, then the damage inflicted is going to increase essentially. Attacks an enemy 3 times, and then each hit you have a 20% chance of ignoring defense. You get perfect fail and killable buff if the target is killed. If they survive instead, that's where you get the berserk debuff on this champ. And the debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. And then you do also have a passive in here where you place the berserk debuff on this champ when any champion dies, whether that's them, and then a 20% chance of granting an extra turn when attacking under that berserk debuff. So really taking advantage of that. And these guys, of course, having, when they're on the same team with the other turtles, that others are going to actually join in on the attack. And then, as I said, the fusion we just got done, Donatello, is actually a really good support. You do get a heal on that first skill, and then activating a random continuous heal buff on all allies. You've got an AoE decreasing the cooldown of all ally skills except this champ by 2 turns. I feel like that's pretty huge. The skills cooldown cannot be decreased by other cool decreasing effect, but 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turn, remove all debuff from all allies, placing Conceal a strengthened buff as well, filling the turn meter. You got the passive as well, and then an active effect where if they're going to get one of those fatal hits, prevent the ally's death, keep them alive, like 1 HP, and then equalizing the HP. So all of these champs, of course, doing something different with the turtles. And if you get Leonardo, you get that turtle unity, which would be nice. And then lastly, having April in here. So, I mean, first skill, I will say she is a pretty good support. You have that chance of placing a ton of different potential debuffs. You also place a perfect fail buff on yourself. You're attacking an enemy. You have a chance of stealing all the buffs from the, you have a chance of stealing the turn meter as well, and placing a nullified debuff, a seal debuff. You have a passive effect included in here as well, essentially activating a different skill on an enemy when they gain an extra turn or instant turn effect. And then, of course, 50% increased accuracy buff, decrease the turn meter of all enemies as well, granting an extra turn. And you have a passive effect and an active effect in here. So all of the headline champions, I will say they are good champions, but it is 1.5%. Of course, we do have other legendaries in here as well now, these ones being the 4.5% ones, and not necessarily being bad champions looking at them. However, I think the ones that people are interested in is, of course, going to be the TMNT ones. And then, of course, there is epics, and yes, some of them are required for Mikage Fusion, so maybe that entices you. Otherwise, there's some good ones in here as well. So all around, am I surprised they brought him in on a prism? A little bit, you guys. I am a little bit surprised to see the TMNT turtles in here. I figured the only way to get Donnie would be fusion, to be honest. And then with the other champs, there's been some kind of things like hinted if it's going to be some type of hero path going on or any of those types of events that is going to require shards and work from us. And the collab is going on essentially until November. So yeah, we still have 2 months essentially until then. So we are going to see these champs come back again, but I was still slightly surprised to see them in here. As for myself, if I'm going to go for this, I think because I'm done with the fusion, not really doing anything currently right now that's requiring a ton of my effort and attention in the game, I probably will go ahead, do a bit of farming and see how far I can actually go. And I feel like what pushes me is the fact that it is the TMNT. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's the only time to be able to get these champs. But if I go through all of the effort and I come out getting Donatello out of it, I would probably be a little bit sad. I think understandably, having just finished getting him. I mean, that being said, my Lizardman faction could use a little bit more love. So, I mean, we could always bring 2 Donnies along for something like Faction Wars and see how they do. But I definitely wouldn't mind getting some of the other ones. They do have some fantastic champions, but it definitely took me a little bit by surprise that this was in here and that they kind of adjusted the percent and the rates just a bit. If you download Raid Shadow Legends using my link, I'm actually going to start you off with the free legendary champion on day 1. And then at level 10, level 20, and level 30, you'll get yourself an epic. That is 4 amazing champions that you can get just by downloading using my link. I am super curious on your guys' thoughts on this, so please do comment down below and let me know, how do you feel about this prism pool? Are you going for, of course, all of that? Leave it all down in those comments and I'll be sure to get back to you guys. And be sure that you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos, including when I do end up pulling my Donnie and seeing what I end up doing with him. I will see you guys next time. Bye!